You're listening to Complete Geek Radio.
It's funny, from the outside looking in, because I don't play sports games, sure, but from the outside looking in, I find it difficult to understand how they can make changes of such value year after year after year when it's the same game.
That's sort of the problem, right? I mean, what they've based themselves on is, at the outset, when they first started this, it was just a game of passing a ball and stopping people from getting touchdowns, right? And every year
football.
Right, but there's a lot more nuances to the game of football than just scoring a touchdown and blocking the passer and stuff like that, right?
Right.
Like setting up picks, and I can get really technical, but I'm not going to. But they make these little subtle changes every year that make Madden fans and football fans alike want to buy their game, and they have to, because that's just how the nature of sports games work. They have 10 months or 8 months to make a new game with new rosters and a couple of changes to make it more appetizing for those fans to buy every year, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, on the other side, you have NHL, which is coming out, and I've played the demo, and the demo plays almost identically to last year's game, so that's a skip for me, because they haven't made a big enough leap from last year's title, which was kind of boring to me, to really kind of grab me in and say, hey, by the way, you need to play this game.
Can this sort of thing be accomplished more often than not, in your opinion, via like DLC?
No, because it's bug fixes, it's actual gameplay mechanics that need to be changed. One of the biggest examples for a sports game was NBA Live. Now, NBA Live's no longer around because EA stopped making basketball games because they can't compete with 2K. But they made a bunch of massive changes a few years ago where they had their players basically sliding around on the surface of the basketball court. So, I mean, if you can imagine watching a basketball game and guys running around and passing the ball and setting up layups and stuff like that, basically, instead of legs actually moving, they would just kind of glide across the floor. And they did the same thing for FIFA. So the two games were very similar, where you just slid, and it was really awkward and kind of gross, and nobody really wanted to play it. The games were still immensely popular, just because people like to play sports games. And then progressively, so I would say every other year, they would make a change to the way that the skeletal structure of each player worked. In which case, instead of it sliding, you'd have like a footstep, or you'd have them running in a certain way. And I can't remember specifically what year. I think it might have been 2009, where they had, for basketball, they had the players, when they would run, they would arch. So like if you're running in a straight line and you take a corner, like if you turn to go right or left, your entire body shifts with you, right?
Yes.
Your entire body moves the way that you move. And they implemented that in NBA.
It's a very odd statement. Your entire body moves the way you move.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, so that was one of the implementations of one of the years in NBA Live, and obviously it went over very well because you finally have real-looking, moving players.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for a sports game that's incredibly important, because it's not like we're not playing arcade sports, we're playing simulation sports. And I won't get into the differences because it's fairly. If you played sports games, you kind of know basically what that means. But and then the thing with FIFA was the same kind of thing, except you could do 360 spins. So instead of you're basically, with the old FIFA, you'd be going forward, and then to go back the other way, the entire thing would just kind of spin in place.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas in the new FIFAs, the actual model spins around accurately.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just little things like that that make sports games a little bit more exciting each year.